Okay, so this is week 14. This is the last week narrated lecture. This is pretty much just an exam review. It talks about what is in homework 10 as well. So it's pretty much a final exam review as we kind of wrap up the class here. What we'll be talking about, just briefly about the class, kind of summarizing it, and then get into what's going to be on the final exam. And then I'll tell you about what's going to be on the homework questions. Okay, kind of where did we go with this class? I talked about it in the last lecture, but really this class is about assessing how people move, ways of measuring that with the manual muscle testing, the goniometry, levels of assist, with the transfers, with the idea that you're going to take this knowledge along with your anatomy knowledge and being able to analyze, do that movement analysis, analyze how people move, so you can see that missing link in the chain, that disrupted component in a complex integrated system. And it's good to know where that missing link is, so you can help them fix the link and do what they want to be able to do, basically. So how do you find that missing link? You manual muscle testing, they're weak. You goniometry, their range is off. The transfer, they acquire too much assist for the transfer. Their movement is off. All these different components of movement that we've looked at. Again, the idea with this is you can kind of stick it in your brain, and as you go forward in this program, and especially the classes you're going to take with me, you'll be using this movement analysis more and more to understand how people move, and to see where you can help them and get them where they want to go occupationally. This kind of talks about the objectives. We kind of moved into this movement analysis through the wheelchair assessment and the transfers. Okay, so what's going to be on the final exam? The final exam is going to be on weeks 8 through 13. This is the week 14. It's just a review. There's nothing here. It's going to be on the exam in terms of content. So the weeks 8 through 13, pretty much it picks up right after the midterm. Midterm is weeks 1 through 7. This is weeks 8 through 13. Go back and look at your syllabus if you have questions about that. So pretty much everything that was covered in that time period. Don't forget the readings. The Pedretti readings really kind of reinforce the PowerPoints. People asked about this the last time. Really focus on the PowerPoints. They kind of reinforce what the Pedretti readings were. Pedretti went a little bit in depth in some areas, but really if I was going to focus on anything, I would focus on those PowerPoint, the material in the PowerPoints. That's where all your questions are really going to come from. Narrative lessons, know the story characters that we got into in the second part of the class. Stacy and Arnold, know them, know Guillain-Barré syndrome. Scott, it's Scott and Duska with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Stacy had the amputations. Arnold was the spinal cord injury. Know those characters well. Know what is important to those characters. Those of you who had wheelchair assignments around these characters, I'm sure you know those well. Know them well, and make sure you know all these characters well. The conditions and what is important to them occupationally. There's a lot of stuff on wheelchairs and the conditions related to wheelchairs. What do I mean by that? Scoliosis, kyphosis, all those things in those week 9 and 10 lectures. There's a ton of material in those. Know that all as well as you can. The reflexes, know the reflexes as well as you can. Again, focusing on what was in the PowerPoints. Email with questions. You have questions about that material. The lecture questions. Each week there were lecture questions, and you were quizzed in the lecture questions. So in the exam, again, there's going to be those lecture questions, and it's going to be the exact same wording as those PowerPoints. Again, the exact same wording. These are the ones where you have to fill in and type in the answer. So really, you just need to list all those questions out and list all your answers to those questions. Hopefully you were doing that all along when you were studying for the quizzes, so it won't be that difficult to go back and to get that stuff down. The lab material, application of the lab material, the plus-minus scale, those levels of assist, mid, mod, max kind of assist, positioning, the goniometry, manual muscle testing, transfers, all that stuff we went through that was in the practicums. I think most of you know that pretty well at this point. All that is kind of, I know that's broad, but it's really just all that stuff that we covered. What's the format? The format's pretty much the same as the midterm. Format is the same as the midterm. It's not any different. Multiple choice questions, and again, the lecture questions. The multiple choice questions, just like the midterm, going to be challenging wording, trying to get you more and more used to these tough questions for the board exam. So there is, in some cases, there's more than one right answer. So if you see an answer that's right, don't just hit it and move on. Look at all of the answers before you move on. And the big theme of that is don't rush yourself. Take your time. Read the questions carefully, maybe read it twice. Should have plenty of time to answer these questions. The number of questions probably in ballpark around similar to the first one, around 50 maybe between the multiple choice and the lecture questions. Again, the lecture questions are those same exact lecture questions. They're all posted. That's all the information, the answers are all there in the PowerPoints. That's where I would start to study, to make sure you have all those down and quiz each other on those. Same format as the midterm again. It's going to be through ExamSoft. You can be taking it in your homes, but it's going to be live. 12/8 that Tuesday between 10:10 a.m. and 12 and a little after noon. A 2-hour window. It's going to be live. You can't come in earlier or later and take it. You have to take it live during that time period. Also during that time period, what's going to be different is you have to connect on your phone. I'm going to send out a Zoom link right before the exam. And me or Emily are going to be watching you. So we'll have the Zoom link. We'll have all those little boxes up there so we'll see everybody as you're taking the exam. Trying to make it as cheating free as we possibly can, to make it as secure as possibly can. So you have to have your phone up so we can see you, see your face as you're taking the exam. And that's how we're going to proctor it. Okay, so homework 10, which was posted, says to be announced. This is homework 10. You need to do this by 12/7. It's basically just a reviewing for the exam. What you need to do is go back through all those lecture questions, pick out 5 that maybe you're the least confident of the answer. If you're confident about all the answers, just pick out 5 randomly. And then research, answer those questions, and post your answers. That's the homework. Just post your answers to those research questions. That's due 12/7. That's the day before the exam. If you want me to look at your questions before the exam and maybe send you an email or something if I see that you're off, or just I'll make comments on that when I grade it, post it to me by that Friday, 12/4. Give me the weekend to look at it. So again, if you want a response to those questions, to your questions before the exam, post it by 12/4. And then what's coming up, the wheelchair assignment. Don't forget the medical letter of necessity. Some people are forgetting that. That's part of the assignment. It's all there. It's description. There's even an example posted in Canvas. So I'll do 12/6. Homework we just talked about, do 12/7, and the exam on 12/8, and then you're done with this class. Okay, and keep in contact with questions. A lot of you emailing me, Zooming. That's great because we're all virtual now. That's why we have to kind of stay in contact, kind of communicate.